It's about time you listen to the Shenmue AM2 podcast.
Welcome back to another episode of the Shenmue AM2 podcast. We're your hosts, Andrew.
And Matt.
And we're back. We're taking probably a 1 or 2 week break between... We're recording episodes back-to-back, so we don't know when the second one's going to be coming out. But we're back.
Why don't we just wait 2 years and then release this one?
We didn't wait 2 years from the other one. It was like 23 months or something.
We didn't wait long enough.
We're back. This episode, we're going to talk about the new era of Sega. During the Game Awards, Sega dropped a pretty impressive trailer.
Impressive at first glance, but I know a lot of people have like fine-tooth combed it afterwards, and then their hype drops a bit.
Same here. The actual live action part of it beforehand was just riddled with Easter eggs. It was pretty cool. And then they essentially announced a new Jet Grind Radio, new Crazy Taxi, new Shinobi, new Golden Axe, and new Streets of Rage.
And more.
And more. And more. So, yeah.
Come on, Shining Force.
pretty big titles from Sega's back catalog. Mm-hmm. It's been a while since most of those games have gotten a release. Other than Streets of Rage, because Streets of Rage 4 came out 3 years ago now.
Yeah.
Ish. Golden Axe, last time we had something from that was that terrible game on the
Beast
360
Rider.
PS3 era.
I never played that.
Neither did I. I have it, but I've never played it. And then Jet Grind Radio, the last one of those would have been Jet Set Radio Future on the original Xbox.
Yeah, that was so long ago. But we just got that spiritual sequel.
Which I purchased, tried playing it once, fell asleep, and I haven't touched it again.
Really?
I sound asleep. I woke up and it was going through a cutscene or something. I had no idea what was happening, so I need to...
It plays like exactly...
Did you play it?
Like, as good, I think.
You played it?
Yeah, I played a lot of it. I haven't beat it, but...
And what other one was there? Oh, Shinobi. The last Shinobi would have been Nightshade on the PS2.
Oh, wow.
So it's been a little while.
I haven't played much Shinobi. Just, like, dabbled in the Genesis ones.
Same here. And pretty much just Revenge of Shinobi. Mm-hmm. We do have a mutual friend that holds a... I don't know if he still holds it, but Adriano had the world record for... Was it Shadow Dancer or Shinobi 3?
Oh, really?
Yeah, for speedrunning it.
Nice.
But what are your thoughts on these?
I'm excited for them all, to try them at least. But yeah, I do feel like the other folks who have like gone back through the trailer and just kind of looked at them, and then you kind of realize that, oh, these are like AA games. they're not AAA games. But that can still be fine. Like, you do see like the rough edges of these, and that's fine too. They're early in development. I just hope that they're not too simple, too repetitive.
Shinobi, I think, looked the most promising of them because
it's the Streets of Rage people.
It looks like Streets of Rage 4, and I think that's how Shinobi plays best, would be as a 2D game.
Yeah. But Streets of Rage, the new one, the 3D one, and Golden Axe, I can see those, if they're not careful, being kind of monotonous and uninspired, maybe. But
do you know what
it's still early, like I said.
Did you ever play the Bouncer on PS2?
No, but I know what it is.
That was essentially like for me, it felt very much like a spiritual successor to Streets of Rage. Mm-hmm. It was made by Square Enix. It was their first. It was their first game on the PS2, I think. I'm worried that game does get very repetitive, and it's pretty short as well. When you
take out all the cutscenes.
Take out all the cutscenes. But I'm worried that Streets of Rage 4 is going to be like that.
Streets of Rage 5?
Sure, excuse me, whatever.
Just Streets of Rage?
Whatever they call it.
Yeah.
I think part of Streets of Rage is not being able to necessarily get around enemies, and I find that's what takes me out of like 3D Mario games, is I can just go on the axis around enemies as opposed to having to go through or over them. I can just go around them, and that takes me out of it a bit.
Yeah. Well, there seems to be like two type of 3D action games now. You either have to do a Soulsborne with the extreme difficulty and the bosses with huge wind-up times, and then you do your dodge roll or your parry. And then the other kind is like the hyper... like just crazy movement, air juggles and stuff like Devil May Cry and Bayonetta and stuff. But I don't think it would fit as either of those. So I hope they're able to like blaze a trail as like a new third type of 3D action game that can get popular, hopefully, where it's not slow and methodical, but not crazy over the top. I guess Dragon's Dogma 2 is sort of like that, I think.
Never played it.
It's a new release from Capcom, but it's got like the heavy, weighty combat, but it's not so like so slow as like most Soulsborne games, I guess. I don't know.
I've never played a Souls.
I've tried like 3 times, and I always bounce off them. So now I've learned my lesson, and I just don't buy them.
I think with Streets of Rage 4 set the bar so high, I don't know how it can live up. Streets of Rage 4 is now it's in my top 10 games of all time.
Yeah.
I own every version of it, every console, every box art. I own like a dozen copies of this game. I love it. The Shinobi one looks promising. Again, there were some really huge Shinobi fans. The Crazy Taxi just looks...
It's just Crazy Taxi.
But to me, it doesn't look like Crazy Taxi. It looks like it's going to be some sort of open world thing. And
you think?
I don't...
How can you tell?
It looks like there was a lot going on in it. I want it to be Crazy Taxi. I want it to be the arcade style.
It could be different modes.
It absolutely has to have The Offspring as a soundtrack. Yeah.
If they don't do that, what are they doing?
Yeah, people will crucify that game if it does not have...
Well, the last time it released, it didn't have that, right?
Yeah, Crazy Taxi 3 didn't have...
No, I mean, like, the last time they released the first game again. Like, I thought they couldn't license that song, so people played it, and they're like, this just isn't the same without that song.
I have played it without it, and I'm like, no, this is... And there's not a whole lot of Offspring songs or Methods of Mayhem, I think is the other band on it. Like, a lot of them loop, and they're not necessarily the entire song, but that's something they can build on. There's more storage and stuff now, but yeah, that's part of it. Those two things are associated with one another. It needs it for me to enjoy it.
Yeah, I don't know. I was never a huge Crazy Taxi fan. I had the game. I think I had 2 and 3 as well on Dreamcast, but...
You didn't have 3 on Dreamcast. Matt's
3 would have been
Matt's
Xbox,
lying.
right?
He was Xbox, yeah. Matt's a big
I think I had 2 and 3, but...
I think I have all of them.
Yeah.
I have 1 and 2 on the Dreamcast. I have 1 on GameCube and PS2. I have 3 on Xbox, and I have the Game Boy one, which is terrible. Game Boy Advance one is bad, real bad.
I'm not sure why I bought 3 since I never played them for long. Yeah.
They're enjoyable though.
Yeah, I hate timers. I hate being timed.
What other? So Golden Axe. This one I'm worried about. I think it's just going to kind of get lost in the shuffle. It looked okay. In the trailer, it looked like a polished PS3 game. I'm
hoping they add some RPG elements to it or something. Something to differentiate it from the Final Fight 3D game they're doing.
I didn't know that.
Huh?
I did not know they were making a Final Fight 3D.
Sorry. I meant Streets of Rage.
Okay. Whoa. That's a cardinal sin as a Sega fan there.
Sorry. But Sega and Capcom both, they've got huge backlogs of games that they really need to take advantage of and revive, and Sega's finally doing it, it seems. So, Capcom, it's your turn. I know you're doing well with Resident Evil and Monster Hunter, and Yakuza is Sega as well.
Yakuza Sega. Oh my god,
I'm tired.
Apologize as the drunk guy.
I'm tired. Sorry. I'm tired. But both of those companies, they just rely on the same staple of games that they know sell well, and I'm glad that Sega's taking a chance at some of these old IPs. I'm just mostly interested in what the and more is. Like, what else is coming? Is there any rumors, any confirmations?
There is a mobile Streets of Rage game apparently as well. I'll get it and try it, but
I mean, other IPs. I mean, like, there must be other stuff. Are they going to revive Shining Force? Are they going to revive Phantasy Star?
Didn't they already revive Phantasy Star? You haven't played it?
Phantasy Star Online 2 is terrible. But, I mean, like, the mainline Phantasy Star. I love Phantasy Star Online, the first one, but they'll never go back to that. They made too much money with 2, so...
The last Shining Force. There was 3 of them on the PS2 era.
There was one on Saturn, I think, wasn't there?
Yeah.
And that was the very last one?
Well, the PS2 would have been after the Saturn.
Oh, there was one on PS2.
There was 3 of them on PS2.
Oh.
There was Shining Force Neo, Shining Tears, and Shining Force EXA.
Are they Japan only? They come here?
They all came here. I have all 3 of them.
I didn't get a PS2.
Apparently they're all pretty bad.
Oh.
But I just have them as because I'm trying to do the whole post-Dreamcast complete Sega collection.
Right. I didn't get a PS2 till it was like really late in the game.
Were you GameCube or Xbox?
I was an Xbox guy because I thought that was continuing the Sega legacy. I was like, the controller looks kind of similar, and they're getting some of the games. I'll go Xbox.
Oh, that's a fair assessment. There was a lot of Dreamcast games ported to the Xbox. Mm-hmm. And a lot of, because we talked about it a long time ago in the episodes, but it seemed like the exclusives, the PS2 got some like odd exclusives, the GameCube kind of got like some Sonic stuff, and then the Xbox got stuff that felt Dreamcasty.
Yeah, they had the more out there experimental stuff, and that's the stuff I missed from both Capcom and Sega.
And then the last one announced was last one we talk about is Jet Set Radio Future, Jet Grind Radio, whatever they're going to call it. Looks promising.
Yeah.
I'm going to buy it. Mm-hmm. I am saying now I'm buying all 5 of these. Mm-hmm. Taking my money unconditional. Doesn't matter what pre-reviews are like. I'm supporting this.
Okay.
But as Matt mentioned, it's the and more that really interesting to us. Apparently they've gone through and they've re-upped their trademarks for a lot of stuff, which can just be a business continuity practice, but it may mean new stuff too.
What'd they do? Comic Zone?
Apparently there's a Comic Zone movie in the works.
What?
I read the premise and it did not seem good. But Comic Zone is something that needs to come back. And just literally make it a sequel, make it look like a Genesis game.
Comic book movies are so big. Yeah, why not do a Comic Zone thing?
Yeah, it would. I mean, it's a very niche thing because, again, nothing after the Genesis, other than it did get ported to the Game Boy Advance, but only in Europe, and apparently it's really bad. And it's been on some Sega collections, like any Sega collection that's come out on PS2, PS3, PS4 era, probably it has it, I would imagine.
Anytime I think of that game, I just think of pack it in.
What?
Pack it in, or whatever that enemy says. Have they saying pack it in?
I always thought it was hackety.
Hackety? That's not a thing.
Hackety.
I thought it was pack it in, like you're done.
Yeah. It's such a good game, though. I love it.
It's hard, though.
You have to play it with a 6-button controller. Mm-hmm. It is substantially easier with a 6-button controller because each item slot has its own dedicated button that way. But if you know some of the shortcuts, and it's way more puzzle-based than people think it is. Yeah, I would love to see that in that and more category. And do you know what would be great to be in that and more category? Shenmue, because Limited Run Games is making it. Listen to the last episode. They pretty much announced it. Josh Fairhurst, the former owner, he still runs the company, sent out a tweet that 3 of the top most requested games of all time are pretty much locked in, that he's going to be making announcements. And Shenmue has to be one of those games.
It doesn't feel like something that Sega would want to pursue. It feels like something they'd let Yu Suzuki pursue.
Yeah, with funding from Limited Run Games.
Yeah.
Mark my words, I'm going to die on this hill. This is going to happen. But Limited Run Games does now have a working relationship with Sega, too. I mean, they had done a couple little, side projects, like the Alien Isolation game. They re-released that on Switch. But they're working with them now to re-release some ports of... They were Atlas games, weren't they? Mm-hmm. Some of the Persona games.
Yeah.
So there is the relationship there. It's gonna happen. Mark my words. I'm gonna plug this in every single podcast going forward.
Okay. Until you're proven right or wrong.
Until I'm proven right. And you're gonna have to eat crow. You're gonna have to eat an entire crow. That's your punishment.
Oh, shit.
You're gonna have to catch a crow, feather it. I'll let you cook it.
Okay, thank you.
But you have to boil it, nothing like a nice roasted crow or anything. You have to boil it, steam it or something. I don't know.
Okay. What other IP could they have?
Vector Man.
Yeah.
I'd like a new Vector, man.
Gunstar Heroes, maybe. Or is that more... Was that more of a Treasure IP than a Sega IP?
Probably. We played it when Matt and I had a couple Saturday gaming things with his brother-in-law. Tyrone was his name, right? Mm-hmm. They were fun, but we tried Gunstar, and there was just so much going on.
Yeah, you'd never played it, had you?
No.
Which really surprised me.
It was tough.
Yeah.
It was very tough. A lot going on.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really enjoy it. I thought it was going to be more Contra-like, and it was...
It's Contra...
Bullet hell Contra, weird. Yeah, I didn't enjoy it as
Contra
much.
on steroids. I much prefer, Contra, and even better than that, I like Metal Slug from SNK.
We did play some Metal Slug, too, and I wasn't a huge fan of that either.
Though that was emulated poorly on the specific...
You think with all your AI money, you'd be able to... You'd be able to fund that yourself. Yeah. You need to use your AI money to fund Shenmue 4.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of, have you seen any AI video stuff?
Of Shenmue?
No, I was about to say we could just make our own Shenmue Season 4 with AI. It's seriously getting to the point where like somebody's going to be able to take their favorite book and just put it into the machine and pop out a movie. It's nuts.
We're doing that. We are 100%. This podcast just took. We're going a new route, people. We're now the Shenmue AM2 podcast. We're going places with this. We can't be stopped now. It's Bad Boy for life. P. Diddy. He's not P. Diddy. He's doing some bad things right now. We are not associated with P. Diddy in any way, shape, or form.
Nope.
But that Godzilla soundtrack, they just come with me with the Jimmy Page from Led Zeppelin.
I forgot about that.
It's so good. It's so good. Someone put a Ron Hextall, the famous goalie from the Philadelphia Flyers, who had hot-tempered goalie. Someone put a supercut of his career on YouTube and put that song to it, and it fits so perfect. Link in the description.
No, not really.
To that song, yeah. No,
you're going to do it?
I'm going to do that.
Okay.
If you're a hockey fan and you know anything about Ron Hextall, it's so good. It's so good. Back on track. The and more I find was the exciting part. I'm excited for Shenmue. Streets. I cannot. My brain, Shenmue and Streets of Rage are just, they're mushed in there together. My mouth just spits out one or the other, but it's usually the wrong one.
Streets of Moo.
Streets of Moo. AI produced the game, Streets of Moo. It's cows fighting. What would they eat, though, for health?
Out of the barrels and crates?
Yeah. It'd have to just be like grass or something.
Yeah, just a pile of grass.
Couldn't be meat. That'd be cool.
Which of these projects do you think we'll see first?
Probably Shinobi.
Yeah.
Because I think Shinobi is going to be the simplest to make.
It did look the most polished, too.
I'm buying all of them.
Yeah.
Anything that Sega makes, pretty much anything that Sega puts out now that's not Atlas, I buy.
And what was the rumor beforehand was like Sega's making a super game, which is like multiple games in one or something. What was that all about? Just wrong rumors.
Well, they're trying to say that the super game is like Jet Set Radio Future or Jet Set Radio and like Crazy Taxi or something were the super games, but like they were going to be connected or I don't know. It was weird. And they canceled that game Hyenas that they were making.
Oh yeah,
that cost a ton of money. And Sega just laid off a bunch of people too.
Everybody
they sold off part of their game studio.
Everybody needs to stop with the live service games. It's not going to work. You're not going to dethrone Fortnite or anything like that Foam Stars game. You remember that?
Yeah, it's this like the Square Enix doing it, their own version of Splatoon.
It's lost 95% of its player base. Like, it's not worth the investment for these live service games, so I hope Sega stays away from those.
Fortnite is lightning in a bottle. And it's hard to recreate that. I just want games. I want to put a disc in or a cartridge. I want to play a game. I want to enjoy it. Maybe I can play it online with my friends. Don't put anything behind a paywall. Then maybe put out an anniversary edition with DLC or something, and I'll buy that too. But just make games. Live service, it's saturated. Everything is saturated with live service. So all your streaming services, they're just going to go the way of the dodo because the idea was that you buy a game so you don't have to pay monthly or like...
They're just all competing for your time and there's only so much time.
There's only so much time and there's only so much dollars.
Yeah.
And it has to hook you, and if it doesn't, people don't want to invest in it either.
Yeah.
And when people don't invest in it, companies don't want to invest in it. And to be honest, this is a huge risk for Sega. I mean, they're blowing the dust off stuff that people have been asking for forever. But it is risky, and I just hope it pays off, and we need to support these. Like, they have to be good, though, too. They need to be good for people to play them, buy them, and for it to continue. Yeah. They need to have a reason to make these other stuff other than Yakuza and Atlas games.
I know. How long ago was this announced again? Summer?
Yeah, well, Summer Game Fest, wasn't it? That's what the Game Awards are, I think. I don't know.
Oh, it was at the Game Awards? It was that recently? Just a few months ago? Okay. I was about to say, when are we next going to hear about any of these?
I loved E3. I loved the hype around it. I understand why it went away, but E3 was like a landmark. Every year, you're gonna see stuff, and without that tentpole event, it's hard to know when stuff is coming.
Yeah, all the companies still have like a show in June, though. It seems they're just all separate now.
Yeah, but we'll see where it goes. Hopefully it's positive. People, if it's good and people support it, it's a way in the right direction.
Yeah.
And it will help us get old IPs. Like Shenmue. This is all to get Shenmue.
Yeah, I mean, if these are all successful, I can see them dusting off some other things.
But you don't want it to be too successful, and then they just keep doing that.
Right, yeah. This is our new cash cow. Milk this.
This,
you can have multiple cows.
Alex Kidd remake. Or Columns 5.
Yeah.
I do love me some Columns, though. What are you, Columns or Tetris Kid?
I only played Columns recently for the first time, and I think I prefer it over Tetris. My favorite, though, is
Puyo.
Mean Bean Machine, which is Puyo Puyo, isn't it?
Yeah, I never I had Mean Bean Machine on I had it on something, and I just started playing it one day, and I was like, this is hard. And then it was one of those games where I was like, no, I can do this, and I beat it. But it is a very interesting concept on the puzzle game.
Yeah, it just seems easier to be able to clear stuff, because you can connect it in different directions. Mel's been playing Dr. Mario, which I never liked.
I like Dr. Mario. I like the Dr. Luigi that came out on the Wii U. That put an interesting twist on it. I love the music of Dr. Mario. But kind of Tetris. The two-player Tetris that was on that came out on WiiWare, where it was 2 players, but only one of you got the square and only one of you got the straight block. So it was teamwork. That was really interesting as well. But yeah, Sega makes a lot of Puyo Puyo games. Super Monkey Ball, Yakuza, and then all the Atlas titles, but they're dipping their toe in, and let's see where it goes.
Yeah.
All right, I think that's it for this episode. If you don't have anything else you want to add, Matt?
Nope.
All right. Well, you can find us on the socials, Shenmue AM2 Pod on Twitter. We're on Facebook. We have a group. We have a page. Shenmue AM2 Podcast on the Dojo. You can Shenmue AM2 Podcast at gmail.com. Email us stuff. Send us fan art of AI, of us, the Shenmue AM2 Podcast AI podcast. What we would talk about if we were AI. And we'd like to thank our sponsor this week, Sega.
They're finally doing shit.
Have a good one, guys. Bye.